Welcome to Muscle Maintenance with InShape Fitness. I'm Coach Kim. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's session is called Awaken and Strengthen. The first 30 minutes of your day. You know, it sets the bar. When you wake up in time to stimulate your body, to calibrate your mind, and boost your energy level, you can shift gears into your work or your school, whatever family duties you have, with much greater ease. Now, no equipment is going to be needed for this 20-minute session, and it's going to be suitable for all ability levels. That means it's going to kind of roughly traverse the moderate level in terms of the standard exercises, and then I'll provide a lot of adaptations for the exercises that need them in terms of easier or harder effort if you're looking for those adaptations. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is a postural systems check. It's your opportunity to just stand up really, really tall. Pretend that you're a marionette, like you're standing with a string that's pulled from the top of your head and someone is pulling you up, elongating your spine a little bit, and then open up the chest. Make sure that your shoulders and your ears line up vertically. That helps open up your chest, which puts less stress on your upper back. It also adds your ability, or enhances your ability, to respirate efficiently. When your chest is collapsed, you're closed in the front of your body, you actually hinder full respiration through your lungs. So keep those arms back, and then make sure that your hips are forward and squared off. Make sure your tummy is tight. Pull in on your belly button if you can, and then tuck in your tailbone. Then as you're thinking about your legs, think about the hips, the lineup between your hips and the knees. And then between the knees and the ankles, you want a vertical line, almost, obviously. And then you want to keep the feet straight with an effort placed on all four corners of your feet, absorbing your body weight. So you don't want to step on your heels too much. You don't want to press in with the inside of your foot too much. And of course, you also want to make sure that your left and your right leg are doing an equal amount of work. There's a concept at InShape that we call pivoting, and that is just a simple sort of way to describe exercises that force legs to work independently of one another. And that means that your left leg, which is likely weaker for you since most of the world is right dominant, has to do some of that added work. And if you are right-handed and your left leg is really weak, that can be a real hindrance to some of the lifestyle activities that make your life great. So the postural systems check is also a way to get you breathing and get all the noise out of your head. You take a couple of thoughts that relate rather to your body's ability to move about without equipment, and just think about those things. Think about the breathing in through your nose and how effective it is at blowing up your tummy and your lungs, and then the diaphragm gets all that carbon dioxide out of your body in turn as well. Okay, now extend your arms out to the sides. Your palms face down. Your fingers are splayed. I call this phalange fitness, or phalange flexibility in this case, because you just want to twinkle your fingers a little bit so that you can feel your digits all moving independently of one another. I sometimes have people actually do the sign language alphabet to do this as well, but as you're out here in this position, it's really good. This opens up your chest. Now I want you to bring your feet into a heel to toe position. You're breathing deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. Always try to breathe in through your nose and exhale deeply through your mouth. Your feet are heel to toe. So if you're right-legged and your right foot is in the rear, this is the easier of the two versions. We're going to make it harder in a minute when your left leg is in the rear. But all you do for this exercise, it's called the lighthouse. Turn your head all the way to the right and then all the way to the left. You will feel off balance, which you're supposed to, even if you're strong, even if you're fit. I was working just yesterday with a bunch of people who have run dozens and dozens of marathons, and they did this exercise and were surprised by how off balance they felt. It's okay. All right. This is meant to discombobulate your inner ear equilibrium. So your vestibular system in combination with your supporting muscle or small muscle activation are both sort of calling you or taxing your sense of balance here. So don't worry about whether or not you're a little off balance. You're supposed to be. Then flip your feet so that the right foot is in the rear, or the left foot is in the rear rather, and your right foot is in the front. And the same thing, slowly turn your head all the way to the right. So you gaze down the length of your right arm and then all the way to the left. All right. Very good. Now, separate your feet shoulder width apart. We're going to do a simple squat. We're going to do 5 simple squats. All right. That means they're standard. That means you're sitting down and back into an imaginary chair. And I'm not looking for you to do 5 quick squats and then be sort of standing around waiting. So do them slowly. It should take about 30 seconds if you're working it right. Doing the exercise slowly and deliberately with control, where gravity doesn't help pull you down and momentum doesn't help you switch directions. So pause when you get to that seated position and then think about the squeeze of your glutes as you lift back up really tall, pressing your heels into the floor. And then as you finish that 5th one, we're going to start making it a little bit kind of a freestyle movement here, where we're going to end up doing a bunch of different things. So you're going to do some lunges, you're going to do some forward kicks, you're going to do a jumping jack in addition to standard squats. So let's do a couple of forward kicks to get you oriented to the best way to make sure that you're doing the right forward kicks. So with a forward kick, your hands can either be on your hands or your hips rather, or your you can bring your body into like the kickboxer defensive position with your arms out in front of your face. But regardless, you lift up one knee and then you kick out the lower leg with a flexed foot. Now, that adaptation where you have some desire or need to make this a little bit easier, hold on to the back of the chair or the wall to make sure that you don't go off balance. All right, so sit down and then, or rather lift up the knee, kick out the foot, and then hold on to something if you need to. Go ahead and switch to the other side. So we were either alternating or stable for one leg to do a certain number and then the other leg. It doesn't really matter. We're just doing those forward kicks. This is kind of like the sample early set. Now I want to have you do reverse lunges. So what you're doing with a reverse lunge is to take a step back with one leg. Both feet remain pointed forward. Your toes point forward at all times. You just take a big step backwards and then lower your body straight down so that you make 2 90-degree angles. And then you push off with the ball of the foot of your leg that is in the rear to return to your starting point. And again, do 5 on each leg, whether you're alternating them or isolating one side for 5 and then the other. Either way, that's fine. And then do 5 or 10 jumping jacks, depending on where you are within the segment. We're going to tie everything together and do a 2-minute roundabout where we do a variety of these. We're going to start with just 5 of each things, which we just did. Now I'm going to do 4 of each thing. And then we're going to go down to where we end up doing basically 1 of each. And we're going to go as far as we can in terms of the amount of time we have. So if you need, by the way, an adaptation for your reverse lunges, don't get the knee close to the floor. Just go into a partial, almost like a partial single leg squat, but just lower the body slightly. And of course, you can also hold on to a bar or your chair or a wall. Okay, so jumping jacks are pretty easy, right? So what we're going to do now, we're going to do 4 of each thing. The first thing we did was squat. So sit down and back and then lift back up for a count of 4. And I think I forgot the adaptation for the squats. If you need to sit into an actual chair instead of the imaginary chair, definitely do that. But think about what you're doing. You inhale on your way down. You exhale as you lift back up. After you finish your 4 squats, let's do 4 jacks. See, you thought I was going to end with the jacks. Now what I want you to do is the forward kick with the left leg, forward kick with the right leg. 4 of each. And then we're going to finalize with 4 lunges on each leg as well. Very good. Okay, keep it going. Make sure that you're breathing throughout. Make sure that your brain is focused on keeping your belly pulled in. And let's go back to the beginning. Now we're going to do a set of 3 things. Let's start with jumping jacks. So 3 jacks, 3 squats, sit down, and then stand up, and then sit down and stand up, and then have a seat one more time, stand back up. Now let's do the reverse lunges. 3 on the left leg, 3 on the right leg, and then 3 forward kicks with the left leg, and 3 forward kicks with the right leg. Going back to the top of the set here, we're going to do 2 of each thing. 2 jacks, 1, 2, 2 squats. Inhale down, squeeze and pause, lift back up, and again. Now the reverse lunge, 2 on your left, and then 2 on your right, and then 2 forward kicks, and you're finishing with the forward kicks on the other leg. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to do 1 of each. 1 jack, 1 squat, 1 kick left, 1 kick right, 1 lunge left, 1 lunge right. Okay, let's do that again. Only we're going to add the lunge and the kick together. So now 1 jumping jack, 1 squat. Now do that forward kick with the left leg, and as you put the foot back down on the floor, go right into the left side lunge. And then same thing with the right leg kick, and then the lunge. Now a jumping jack into a squat, left leg lunge. Left leg kick and then lunge, right leg kick and then lunge. And if you do the lunge first and then kick, that's fine too. And again, with adaptations, if you need to go back and go back to sort of a standard, do just a few at a time and hold onto a wall, that is all very good. For another 30 seconds, what I want you to do is keep this same cycle going. It goes jack, squat, left leg, kick and lunge, right leg, kick and lunge. Your time is going. Make sure that you keep that back really straight. Make sure that you're breathing, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Take your time. There's no rush. We're not looking for a certain number of repetitions here. We are simply hoping to keep your heart rate elevated and push the multi-dimensional movement of your body until we go down to the floor, which is now. Great job. Great job. Take a couple of deep breaths, let your heart rate settle just a little bit. If you want a sip of water, grab one of those, and then lie down in the floor in child's pose. So face down, you set your butt on top of your heels, and then drape your torso over your quads and walk your fingers far away from your body. Excellent. Okay, now lift yourself up into downward facing dog. That means that when you put your hands, you put body weight on your hands, right? Anytime that you're on the floor and you're putting your body weight down on the floor with your hands on the floor, it's really an effective way to do a lot of exercises. And some regimens, I stay on the floor for almost the entire workout. But you've got to make sure that you distribute your body weight on the floor efficiently, so that you don't injure or fatigue your wrist. So be careful. Make sure that you're pressing into the floor, clawing the floor, or Spider-Manning the floor with your fingertips in the top part of your palm. So in downward facing dog, your legs are straight. You're stretching out the back of the butt, a little bit of your shoulders. It is hard. Downward dog is not super easy to just hang out here. So when you need to drop back down into child's pose, that's fine. The next exercise technically is a plank. And in your plank, on your elbows, not your hands, what I want you to do is to lower your body onto the floor, lift your body back up off the floor in plank position where your forearms are on the floor and your hands are flat. Don't make fists, too much stress. But flatten out your hands and make sure that your shoulders and your elbows line up. Now for 30 seconds, if you're already in it, great. I want you to be able to hold for 30 seconds at least, so your time starts now for the regulation 30 seconds. But you should know that if that is too long, even if you get to 5 seconds and you need to drop to your knees because you cannot hold a plank, drop to your knees. It is still a plank. It's just a little bit easier. The lever is shorter, and that makes the taxing on the pressure on your torso just alleviated a little bit. So 3 seconds more. Very good. Sit back in child's pose and rest. Take one more big deep breath. I'm going to turn you over now and lift you into, or get you into, the hip bridge position. So turn your body over, lift into hip bridge position. And that means that your feet are on the floor and your knees are bent. That means that your hips are in the air and your arms are beside your body. The hip bridge is a position that you should be comfortable with, that you should know well for a daily regimen. You don't need to have a lot of fancy you can make it fancy any day you want by just doing the circuit like we did earlier, where it's like have 4 things that you know how to do well, and then you just do a little round robin of the exercises, or maybe like a ladder where you do a round robin of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or various things that way will make the exercise routine unique each time. But you do need to know certain exercises, master them really well, and hip bridge is definitely one of those. So keep your toes down. Let's do a couple of dips, and then I'm going to have you do a couple on your individual legs alone, so that we reinforce that notion of the left leg strength and your right leg strength. So dips down where you inhale, lowering your body, and then exhale as you lift back up. Make sure that you keep the toes down. I watch people do this all of the time. And when their toes are in the air, your body weight shifts, the distribution of effort shifts. And that means that you might work some other muscle groups that you might want to work. Like if you want your quads to get more exercise, you could lift up your toes. But if you press the toes down, then you get that accentuated effort on the part of the back of the leg, the hamstrings, which are desperate for your attention. They're like the middle child in a giant family. They're desperate to get some action, those hamstrings and your butt, the back of the leg. It's there, and they'll do the work, but they're not called upon to do the work very often. So, okay, so now let's lift up the left leg. Let's do just right leg dips. That means that you hold the left leg up in the air, and then you drop your hips and lift up with just the strength of your right leg. And then switch. After you do 4 or 5, you can go back to the other leg. We're finishing up with these hip bridges. We're not going to do any crunches today. Obviously, we've got one more minute of working and 1 more minute where I want you to stretch. So I'm going to turn you over now. And what I want you to do is hold a plank again. And this time it's going to be for 60 seconds. So turn your body over, lower yourself into your plank, elbows on the floor, fingers splayed. Think about those phalanges again, right? The digits. You want to make sure that you don't add stress by making fists. And then your time is going. 60 seconds. If you need to make this harder, make it a moving plank. You can move your body, shimmy your body to the right and to the left. You can corkscrew your hips. You can shimmy your body forward and back. You can move your legs like like toe taps. One lateral leg taps out to the side and then the other. You could do jumping jacks in plank. I love doing jacks in plank. You can even do like a mountain climber where you bring one knee up and around and then the other. And just like that, 30 seconds is over. You've got 25 seconds actually left. 35 seconds on the clock. And now 40 seconds on the clock. And then we are going to be finishing up. So you've got 10 seconds left. Keep breathing, those little shallow breaths. You still want to get that air into your body. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth, and rest. Rest in child's pose. Always helpful to sit the body down in child's pose and take a couple of deep breaths. Now lift your body back up into downward facing dog and take another couple of deep breaths. If you can muster an upward facing dog where you really force those contractions of your lower back and pull on the front of your body through the abdomen. That's fine as well. But the downward facing dog is really great because it also stretches out your hamstrings, stretches out your calves a little bit. And then if you can lower your body back into a child's pose one last time, I'm going to say goodbye. Awaken and Strengthen is the best way to think about a daily routine that you can do without having to get up and sort of get fancy clothes on and go to your gym space every day. Even if you have a gym in the building, there are reasons to skip it when it's more than just a couple steps away from where you sleep. So just drop out of bed, find a spot on the floor that is big enough for like a yoga mat, closest to where you sleep, and you can get this done and move on to the next part of your day. I'm Coach Kim from In Shape Fitness. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. I will see you again later.